Sorry, guys.
And just a reminder, Olivia's supposed to do the written evaluation, Jimmy's supposed to do the oral evaluation.
Student athlete success on the field, in the classroom, and in life is the heart of our mission. To support that charge, we and our member schools award more than $2.4 billion in athletic scholarships each year, while also providing access to medical care, academic support services, and first-class training opportunities. This is the NCAA mission statement. Today I'm going to prove to you why college athletes should not be paid to compete in their sport. Throughout the speech, we will cover more of why student athletes shouldn't be paid, how would the schools pay the athletes, and the importance of degree over paid sports. Let's take a look at the trouble behind paying student athletes. If they are paid, they'll be considered professional athletes. This is an issue because college athletes are not considered professionals, nor do they acquire the skill set to take on the professional title. Most, if not all, 17, 18-year-olds in their first year of college are not ready to be considered professionals. This is an extremely small group of people who have gone pro at a young age. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Garnett. Unless you're talking about sports like golf or soccer, where it may be more likely that athletes join at a young age. I do know a couple of people from my high school that have gone pro in soccer and pro in golf, and so that's something that occurs more often. But another reason why athletes shouldn't be paid is because over time, if they do unionize, they're going to demand more money. Athletes are going to the price to pay a player is going to go up, and the cost is going to be outrageous. Which leads me into my next point on what schools would have to do in order to pay college athletes. Would they be able to erase the discrimination line and pay female athletes equal to male athletes? Wages can be paid amongst players, but there will always be a player that deserves to be paid more. Examples would be superstars such as Johnny Manziel, RG3, Reggie Bush. These are athletes that were the face of their programs. They were the best players. They brought in the revenue. They had the jersey sales. So players like them are not going to be as comfortable being paid the same as someone that's never seen the field or the court, that's never had the opportunity to make a difference in the program, someone that might not ever make a difference in the program. And what happens when players try to unionize, get together, and if they're allowed, and they were allowed to be paid, a domino effect would occur amongst every school in collegiate sport. You're not just talking about football players and in that one school. You're talking about football players, basketball players, baseball players, soccer players, and so on across the entire country from Division I to Division II, or Division and to Division III. So it's across the board. You have to find a way to pay all these players a fair wage, a fair salary, on top of already paying them their scholarships. And one thing that athletes, I think that they forget is that schools on the road alone paid for traveling, hotels, and food. Well, Lisa Horn, a writer for Pac-12 and Big 12 conferences, stated this in an article she wrote. The cost for NCAA football teams to travel for the 07-08 season was $42.6 million. Grasp that, just for travel. I think that this cost has increased over the last 6 years, and I'm almost sure of it. And with that, I think the athletes just forget that there is a bill that the school does see. It's not just their scholarships. It's not just the room, the board, the food. It's about everything that the school does. Yes, they do. A lot of the bigger schools bring in that money, but a lot of the smaller schools don't necessarily have the revenue and the opportunities to help their players the same way that schools such as Alabama, Ohio State, and the top tier teams in colleges can do. And finally, I will mention the importance of degree over paid sports. College education is an opportunity that not everyone's able to receive. With athletes having an opportunity to be paid, they're more likely to neglect school. A lot of us can relate to this because we have jobs. Sometimes we choose our job over school. Sometimes we leave our jobs early. We leave school early to go to our job. Sometimes we don't even come to class because we were tired or we closed or it was just a late night or it was a rough day. And these athletes might lose sight of an idea that a scholarship is about the education. In this statement by the NCAA Chief Legal Officer, Donald Remy, student athletes are not employees, and their participation in college sports is voluntary. We stand for all students, not just those the unions want to professionalize. The lifespan of a paid professional athlete is short-lived, and a degree needs to be there, something that players can fall back on. Today I have discussed more of why student athletes shouldn't be paid, how the schools would pay the athletes, and the importance of degree over paid sports. In conclusion, a degree is what every player should be focused on, because sports are only a small part of one's entire life. College athletes should not be paid for their commitment to the sports because it is voluntary, and their commitment to school is what they signed up for, which will take them further than they can imagine. Student athletes are students first, regardless their stature or how much their coaches get paid for their successes. The bottom line is that they're well taken care of. More money equals more problems, and that's what would happen if these athletes were able to unionize and begin to make money.
Jimmy, what did you think?
I thought you had a clear thesis. I got that right off the bat. Your intro with the mission statement, I don't know if it was effective. I wasn't too sure what you were talking about. I wish you could have just given us maybe an example of, I don't know, the typical college athlete, maybe the lifestyle, maybe how you guys go on the road and the school pays for everything. So I think that could have been a little, I think that could have been done better. I thought you were well organized. I like that you had your signposts and you gave us a preview of the things that you were gonna be speaking about in your speech. I appreciated that I saw that you kind of wanted to move around with your legs, but you always stayed planted, so that was pretty good. And in the beginning, I think you relied on the note cards a little too heavily. Obviously, it's gonna be difficult to verbatim quote someone, but I think in the beginning you were just trying to figure out what you wanted to say in your speech, and then towards the middle I think you stopped doing that and you were talking to us, and every time you were talking to us, I felt like you were talking to me, I felt like we were friends and you're telling me about this and I was in your team or something. So when you did look up at the audience, I did feel the connection there, and yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate those comments there at the end about the delivery, because I think that that's often the way I feel about things too, and I'm not sure other people get that sort of thing, but it's interesting that people do pick up on those things. I think at the beginning you need to have a little bit more explanation about why we're having this discussion, because for instance, the court ruling that has allowed Northwestern players to potentially unionize, that it's been suggested that we pay players as a way of adjusting for some of these perceived inequities when, college players got their jersey being sold all over the place and they're not making any money on it, that sort of thing, so that we've got a little bit more context as to why we have to hear that argument. I think that you need that earlier in the speech. I'd agree with most of the delivery things that Jimmy was just talking about. I thought you had some good illustrations to share with us on those points. And we're just going to keep it short because we do need to get to the test. All right, thank you.